you cruising down the taxiway, you got the windows down on the plane, jamming that little baby, that wind blowing hard, going through your hair. Everything is everything. But you got to know how to control that thing in the crosswind. Here's how to taxi a plane in the crosswind. Let go! Boom! If you ever heard the expression, fly it all the way to the hangar, or fly it all the way to tie down, it's a big takeaway that you want to take away from that cliche when you hear it over and over in aviation. And that is that you always should remain alert until you have tied the airplane down and it is back in the hangar and that hangar door has closed shut. At any given time, your head should be on a swivel and your eyes and ears should be open, looking and alert for everything. There's a reason for this. A lot of accidents happen in aviation, not in the sky. They happen on the ground. And things that can be easily avoided simply by paying attention while taxiing, especially if you're taxiing in a strong, gusty crosswind. This can be very dangerous, particularly in a smaller aircraft. Think about it. If a major gust of wind comes along and you're on the ground, you may think to yourself, well, I'm on the ground, I'm safe, but you also are in a smaller aircraft. Which aircraft is going to be more than likely impacted by a strong gust of wind? A lower size aircraft or a smaller aircraft? This is why you want to make sure you pay attention and always know how to crosswind taxi that thing when necessary. Hey, and that's what we're gonna get into right now. Let go! Boom! We back off in that thing, baby. Say this you right here, and you coming around chilling, landing that aircraft in a strong wind. Say wind gust 2-4 in that thing, baby. Hey, one time, and you handle your business. You land that aircraft in that strong, gusty wind because you follow the techniques that we talked about on the video on this channel. There's a video on this channel if you want a review of how to land an airplane nice and soft in a strong gusty wind. Link at the end of this video. So let's just say you did it all right and everything is perfect. Remember, fly it to the hangar, baby. It ain't over until the airplane is inside the hangar and the hangar door is closed. So with that being said, boom, you landed on the runway and immediately you still should be having those ailerons into the wind to control the aircraft while you're going down the runway. And let's just say you exit off on, of course, your nice taxiway, and then now you're on the taxiway headed towards your hangar. In most scenarios, you may have to make several different turns on various taxiways before you get to your aircraft hangar or wherever you parked or tied down your aircraft. So that means that same strong wind that was blowing, it may end up blowing from multiple directions while you're on the way to tie down your aircraft. It could be a crosswind at one point, then you turn on another taxiway, it's a headwind. Then you turn on another taxiway, it's a tailwind. So this is why it's essential and important to understand how to control an aircraft in the middle of a crosswind. Simply because while you're taxiing, because it can infect you and impact you in so many different ways. Let go! Hey, let's say you're on this taxiway right here. You got that thing big chilling. And the wind, you see it blowing, baby. That wind gusting and blowing. It's blowing your locks all over the place. You got the windows down on the plane. Everything is everything. And you chilling in the aircraft. Think about which direction that wind is coming from if you're like this. And what you're going to have to do with those ailerons. We always talked about putting those ailerons into the wind. A big note. When you're on a taxi kind of level and you're taxiing at that slow speed, your controls are not going to be as effective. Your airplane was meant to fly, so you get the full maximum performance out of your controls when it's in the air and it's flying. So when you're on the ground and you're taxiing, you're not going to have like full control of the aircraft. So you're really going to have to put full aileron into, so don't do partial, all the way into that strong wind that's blowing from this direction. So you want those ailerons to be into the wind, almost as if you're in the air and you're banking into the wind. That's exactly what you want to be doing. So think about the dynamic that creates with your ailerons on the aircraft. The aileron that's away from the wind, the one that's the opposite side of what you're banking into, that one is going to be positioned in the down position. And the one that's right here close to the wind that you're banking into is going to be positioned in the up position. And that's going to help offset a lot of what's happening with the crosswind. So make sure you keep those ailerons into the wind and your feet dancing on those rudder pedals even more and more so now, so you can maintain that center line. This position is going to help the aircraft keep from doing this and keep from having it being pushed from side to side and off the taxiway, and most importantly, off the center line. Always maintain that center line. Hug that center line like you hug your woman at all times. Hey, boom! Boom! So let's talk about how immediately that can change. Everything that you were doing it right, you were banking into the wind, but then again, you cruising along, getting ready to head back to your hangar, and you turn this way onto another taxiway, headed in the direction. Everything just changed. Now you got to change the direction that you're banking in, because remember, the winds didn't change, you changed directions. That's why taxiing in a crosswind can be very tricky, and because you always got to be thinking about where the wind's coming from and how, when I turn onto another taxiway just to get to my final destination, how things can immediately change for me. So since those winds have changed, what are you going to do? Bank into the crosswind. Banking into that crosswind, same exact thing. Again, the opposite aileron is going to be down. The aileron that's into the wind is going to be up. It's going to help offset everything that's happening, and it's going to keep you nice and stable while your feet are on those rudder pedals and you're going right into, of course, that wind that's kind of beaming down on you. You immediately went from more of a cross to almost kind of like a slight headwind coming from the left-hand side of the aircraft as you're going there. So this is how things can change immediately while you're taxiing. Boom! So let's just talk about if you went the opposite direction. You came to the crossroad right here and you said to yourself, I'm not going to turn to the right and go to my hangar. I'm going to turn to the left, go to your side chick house and go see what she's talking about at the hangar over there. You know what I'm saying? So say you make this turn and you come right here. Look what happened. The wind is still blowing in the same direction, but it's no longer a crosswind, and it's also no longer a headwind. It's more of a tailwind. So you have to compensate for that too. Is you want to think about diving away. Diving away. How do you dive away when you're controlling your ailerons? Pushing them forward and away from the wind. So you want to push down and have those ailerons again away, dive away from the wind, and you'll be in a good place there. Because what you're essentially doing is those elevators in the back, you're bringing them down and you're not allowing that wind to get up under them. You don't want those ailerons and you don't want that yoke to be pulled back to have that elevator high enough to where the wind can get under it and cause any kind of, you don't want anything to just tip over in any kind of way. You want it to stay exactly where it is, and by keeping that elevator down and just letting the wind push you. If you're going to have a crosswind, learn how to use winds to your advantage. If you have a tailwind, a wind can help you push along. It can help you out in the process, but it can only help you if you have the elevator down where it's pushing you and you're diving away with your yoke and making sure that you're in a good position as you're going along. That's essentially what you want to do here. Always try to use winds to your advantage and don't fight against the wind. Just be knowledgeable of where those winds are coming from so you can adjust accordingly. Hey, boom! And let's just say you made another turn, a final turn, baby. After you left your side chick house, now you about to go to a restaurant that's located on the airport. And you in a taxiway taxiing down in this direction now. Again, going away from the wind. The wind is acting more like a tailwind. So what exactly do you want to do? When it's more like a tailwind, you want to dive away. So you're going to have everything pushed forward and then away from the wind. So forward and away from the wind. Have those ailerons away from the wind, and that's going to help you maintain that center line and use that wind to help push you, because those elevators are going to be down and that wind is going to be assisting you as you go down, and you don't have to speed that thing down the runway as fast. It can use the wind to your advantage. Hey. Boom! So the major takeaways: if the strong gusty wind is a crosswind or coming head on from either your left or your right, you want to make sure you have those ailerons into the wind, and you want to be dancing on those rudder pedals like you're doing the merengue on those pedals. Nice and easy. If it's a tailwind of any kind, you want to think about diving away. So you want to have that yoke forward like you're trying to dive away from that wind that's pushing you from the back and away from wherever direction that is coming from. It's coming from this angle right here. I'm diving forward and away from it and keeping my feet on those rudder pedals at all times. And use the wind to your advantage to help push you along the way. One time. Don't forget to like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel. I am Donovan Batiste. Hey, this is Leadership Mindset, a place where you can come for free, fun videos about everything that you need to know for you to become a pilot. Because I want you to feel what pilots all over the world feel when we swinging and banging that thing. Hey, love you one time, subscribe to this channel. Hey.